Hey guys, thank you for watching the channel. My name is Patrick, and today I'd like to talk to you about my Feather the Redeemed deck. Now, first off, this is simply how I have the deck put together. If you feel like that there's more efficient ways to run this deck, please let me know in the comments. If you like what you see here, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll be able to create more content like this one. Feather the Redeemed is a Boros colored commander that recycles instances and sorceries that you cast that target creatures you control. Instead of going to the graveyard, they exile and then return to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. As a 3/4 angel with flying, this gives Feather already a form of evasion to try to get past and deal damage to your opponent directly. Now, while many people end up going for a Voltron style, I always like to supplement my decks with additional strategies. For example, Winota, Joiner of Forces. Many of the heroic creatures that you're going to be running in this deck are humans. So, being able to look at the top 6 and get a free creature onto the battlefield, indestructible and swinging, that can turn around and change the game state very quickly. But before we get into the heroic creatures, let's go ahead and talk about how we're going to protect not only our Feather and Winota, but our heroic creatures as well. God's Willing, Fight as One, and Survive the Night, all three provide indestructible or protection from color, while giving you additional resources when God's Willing and Survive the Night. Scry 1 or Investigate, allowing you to pay 2 to draw a card, can easily end up becoming their own sort of engines based around Feather and these cards alone. Justiciar's Portal, Acolyte's Reward, and Flicker of Fate also provide additional layers of protection, removing from play and returning to play certain cards with Enter the Battlefield's abilities, or being able to protect our commander, which is their main purpose. But still, having access to Flicker effects allows us to build on our board even quicker, as well as to keep our permanent on the board. Deck tech number 1, these are cards that I personally use for their effects. If you don't like them, please comment down below and let me know what you think would hold their place better. Gustcloak's Savior is a 3/4 bird soldier creature token with flying, and whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may untap that creature and remove it from combat. So we swing with Winota. It's not big enough to get through our opponent's creature. Gustcloak Savior untaps, and that creature is protected. Feather does the same. Swing, get Winota effect, but untap and remove it from combat, still getting that triggered effect and that indestructible creature swinging. It can prove to be useful whenever you're trying to take down boards that are bigger than your own. So targeting your own creatures, with your instances and sorceries is the name of the game in this deck. So Defiant Strike, Pressure Point, and Balduvian Rage, all three provide draw power for doing this. While Pressure Point may not be something that protects or gives you little boosts like Defiant Strike or Balduvian Rage, you're still getting that draw. So it can prove itself very useful, even if you're putting yourself at a slight disadvantage. Balduvian Rage, on the other hand, has that +X+0 until end of turn, allowing you to take advantage of cards like Raking Claws or Uncaged Fury, as well as Onward, being able to give yourself double strike or just double your attack again at instant speed. Feather's unblocked. You got Feather to 10 power. Well, now your opponent's dead. Finally, we have Heightened Reflexes, Spontaneous Flight, and Launch the Fleet, which are all three cards that take advantage of being able to recast them and target new creatures, with the first strike counters and the flying counters adding to your board state, making you harder to take down or harder to block. Launch the Fleet also allows you to create 1/1 White Soldier creature tokens, which all go ahead and trigger Winota. But furthermore, you're able to target more than one creature with its strive cost. So now you're not only triggering all of your heroic creatures, but you're also getting a much larger army in 2 waves. Now, the heroic creatures that we're going to run in this deck are going to be based around boosting our power, as well as getting more creatures and empowering those creatures. So Hero of the Pride, Hero of the Nyxborn, and Heroes of the Revel are all banner abilities when they're targeted, with Hero of the Nyxborn and Hero of the Revels also creating forest tokens when they enter the battlefield. These can end up proving detrimental to our opponent, giving us +3/+0 every time we do launch the fleets. A Crone Crusader and Phalanx Leader also add to our board state by giving us 1/1 counters or 1/1 red soldier creature tokens, which also happen to trigger Winota and have haste. Phalanx Leader, boosting our power every turn, will allow us to build Feather even bigger and for longer periods of time. Tech number 2 in this deck is a Crone Conscriptor. Many people don't like to run Conscriptor just because of his high mana cost. With Winota, we get over this problem. Furthermore, his ability allows us to gain control of another target creature until the end of the turn, whenever we target him. So that means that our instances and sorceries also trigger him. Mainly instances, being able to take one of your opponent's creatures while they're swinging at you to block with said creature, and do this multiple times for 3 mana after he hits the board. This can prove more difficult to get over than many opponents are ready to deal with. Now, as for our removal, we mainly focus on wiping the board with Divine Reckoning, Shatter the Sky, and Dusk Until Dawn. Divine Reckoning and Shatter the Sky both just simply wipe the board, wipe it clean. We'll normally choose Feather with as our creature that you control, but we also run cards that grant Indestructible. So we don't always have to. We can actually end up getting past Divine Reckoning really easily. Not to mention that Flashback for 7 gives us yet another nuke that we can use on the next turn. Shatter the Sky allows you to draw a card if one of your creatures happen to be big enough, but also give card draw to our opponent. Still, this should set our opponents back a good deal. Dusk, power 3 or greater, that might kill Feather, but Dawn's going to go ahead and bring a whole bunch of our creatures back to our hands if they die from this. Now, Arc Trail, Go for Blood, and Integrity and Intervention, all three are our main sources of burn or our target creature removal. Arc Trail deals 2 damage to one of our opponents and 1 damage to one of our own creatures in order to bounce back and forth from into our hand. Go for Blood has a similar strategy, but can do a whole lot more damage than Arc Trail could even think about doing. Finally, Integrity to Intervention gives you that little sliver of life gain, and that plus of +2/+2 to one of your creatures. And as for tech number 3, you're going to notice that there are 3 cards in this deck that actually already deal damage directly to our opponent. So running something like Cercara the Bold that can give us draw for burning our opponent can prove to be extremely useful. Whenever Cercara the Bold or an instant or sorcery spell you control deals damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. And you can tap to deal 1 damage to any target. So that means that with our other 3 cards, they give us additional resources that Cercara the Bold provides. So go ahead and get one of our cards that provide double strike off the top of our deck, cast that. It'll then exile again, but this time return to our hand. So this is also being able to dig through your deck this way can get you into even better resources. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw here, please subscribe and hit that like button. Otherwise, if you didn't, please comment below and let me know what I could be doing better. Again, thank you for watching, and you have a wonderful day.